Hi, everybody. Who ready to study? And tonight we're studying chapter 52 in Tanya. So let's just get to the idea that the rabbi is going to share. And I'm going to give you an abbreviated overview of the chapter so you are able to read it and go through it without getting stuck. If there is some parts that you don't get or you didn't understand, I will be happy to explain.
Will you do a recap of last week?
Should I do a recap of last week? Okay, I'll do. Last week, the rabbi was speaking, not just last week, the last 2 weeks, chapter 51. The rabbi is saying that to understand how God operates by creating the universe and running the universe, we need to look at the human being. As the Torah tells us, "Umibsari echazeh Eloka." For my own flesh, I can see godliness. The simple explanation is every human being is a godly representative of God. But a Kabbalistic interpretation is the way the body and the human operates is the way God operates in the universe in general. So just like in a human being, the rabbi began by explaining, and I'm giving, again, paraphrasing and summarizing based on what we already studied. If you didn't study chapter 51, not everything will make sense to you. The human being is made out of two aspects of the soul that gives life and allows the body to function properly. The first is the overall power of what we call the soul. That power does not exist anywhere in the body because there is no body part that's strong enough to contain that soul. Then this is the first part. Then there is a part that enters the physical body, and there are 4 points. We're going to go back to 3 of them tonight. The first one, it enters into the brains, and in the brains is the first place the soul enters in its entirety. Everything, the soul, the entire soul, not half of the soul. Number 2, that brains, the soul power that exists in the brains, has particular powers for every aspect of the human being. The hands, the power to raise my hand, the senses of smell, hearing, seeing, the heart to function, all that the soul creates and gives life continuously, it exists in the brains. Number 3, the brain sends those powers to the body parts, each according to their particular need. And number 4, they report back to the brains. They will tell the brains what's going on, and the brain will tell them what they should or should not do. Did we understand? So you can have the heart racing, you can have people running away or falling in love. The proper function of a human being is that the brain should dictate if I fall in love with this food or that person, if I should stay up or wake up in the morning, even if my body is tired or my friend says, come on, stay here, let's have a party. The brain should be, that's the way God created. The trouble begins when we do not let the brains rule. Ali, did I explain it well?
Yeah.
Comes the Rebbe in the second half of chapter 51 and tells us the universe is the same way. God cannot be his essence revealed here because we would be nothing, would be totally nullified. Therefore, God removed himself, not removing in reality, hiding himself, concealing himself. And then he sends one component of God, we're going to call it godliness, that is revealed in a finite space. And that part will create all the powers of every part of any universe, any part of the universe. We spoke about 4 universes. The first one is called Atzilut, emanation. That's the first part of godliness. I'm going to call it the brains of the human. If I compare the universe to a human, the Atzilut is the brains. The other 3 powers of the human, machshava, dibur, and maaseh, thought, intellect, speech, which is emotional, and maaseh, and action, are compared to the three worlds that are created from the first one. But they enter back, they control by the first one, they answer back, and the proper way for them is to be controlled by the first universe. So the first universe is all-encompassing, includes every power, controls everything, and everything afterwards is still there. It will send energy to create an angel, to create a human, to create a bench, to create a table and tablecloth, and mice and snakes and cheetahs and dogs and cats. They will also report back. The proper way for them is to obey and to be under the control of the world of Atzilut. But in this universe, by the time it comes here, it's so far removed that we have a choice. And we, unfortunately, I don't know about you guys, but I know for me, most of the time we do not make the right choice. Did I make myself clear? Now we can understand that God has never changed. It's the human being, because the changes is from universe to the universe to another universe. There are veils, there are curtains. The curtain blocks energy, blocks light, and therefore we receive much less light. In the next universe, the third and the fourth, the light is so concealed they're almost not there. You couldn't even see it. In the human being, those body parts that receive directly from the brains are essential body parts, and they are completely, immediately controlled by the brains. So if I get scared, I will stop my heart will start breathing, stop pumping. If I convince myself not to look at something, immediately my eyelashes will close. Why? It's a very sensitive body part. Sensitive body part meaning an array of energy. Array of energy meaning direct influence and connection to the brains. But my hair, my nails, my skin, they are very far removed, and they can be removed from the body and look like they are alive for a while. You wouldn't see a difference in the nail between the nail after it's been cut versus the nail before when it's still on the body. You wouldn't see a big difference if I took part of the skin and I put it off, I take it off and put it on the table for the next 24 hours. You wouldn't see a big difference. And the reason is because to begin with, there was so little energy there that, as we say in the spiritual realm, they can deny their creator. They can deny the source of their energy. Did I make myself clear? That's chapter 51. In this chapter 52, the Rebbe wants to go down to the way God operates in this universe. And I'm going to share with you as I said, an introduction and a summary so we can read it a bit quick. God himself does not reveal himself. It's a light of God. That's why we call it Or Ein Sof. The light of God enters into the world of Atzilut. It's like the brains. The essence of the soul is there. And also everything that within the next three worlds are contained there. From there it sends down. We are going to discuss, just like I showed it to you, the human being. There are three levels: thought, intellect, emotions, and action. Or thought, speech, and action. Speech is an intellect, because the way you speak, I can tell if you're angry, you're happy, you're sad. What happened to you is based on your speech. Speech will reflect my emotions. The rabbi is going to say that everything is shared until now is not his own teaching, but it's in the Torah, in the Talmud. And therefore, the rabbi is going to introduce us to actually 8 different names, 8 different ideas that exist. Some of them refer to God, some of them refer to the way God operates and reveals himself. And they are, some of them is called, and I need you to understand, because this is deep Kabbalah. People who are not very familiar with the Kabbalah, it's something new. We know in each universe there are 10 levels, 10 attributes. The 10 attributes are divided into intellect, emotional, and action. There are 3 and 3 and 3. What happens to number 10? Number 10 we call Malchut, royalty, king. Oh, I'm sorry, not king, queen. The queen receives from the king and gives out everybody. We call it Shechinah. Shechinah is a feminine. The one that's responsible for creating a universe is the queen. So the queen in the Atzilut will create the universe of Bria. The queen of Bria, which is the lowest of the 10, will create the world of Yetzirah. The queen of Yetzirah will create the world of Asiya, the last one, and the queen of Asiya will create this universe. Is that clear? Ali, you're going to be... Okay. Now, there is another way to describe Malchut. Malchut is the one who spread out, take out everything from before and give it to the next level. So within each one of the 10 attributes, by the way, you have 10, and the last one is giving the next one. So you have Malchut of Chokhmah, you have Malchut of Bina, you have Malchut of Da'at, right? Because in Chesed, in kindness, you have Chesed Shebechesed, Gvura Shebechesed, and then you have Malchut Shebechesed. So in other words, in each universe, I told you 10 levels, there are actually 100 levels. Because within each one of the 10, there is a 10 level. That's what we say in Sarasota, in our counting of them. Right. 7 times 7. Alice, are you following?
You can get the 7.
Because that's 10 times 10.
100.
Now, there is another name to Malchut or Shechinah in the Torah, in the Bible. We call it Em Habanim. In Hallel, it's a psalm. Em Habanim Smecha Hallelujah. Right? The mother of the sons, of the children, is happy. Praise be God. Em Habanim, mother of the children, is called Malchut. Aramaic for Em Habanim is Ima Tata'a, the lower mother. There are 2 mothers. There is Bina. Bina is a mother, upper mother, and there is a lower mother, Malchut. We call it lower mother.
Malchut.
Is that too complex?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, kind of.
What? So if you study Kabbalah and you study the 10 attributes, you learn that in the intellectual part of the 10 attributes, Chokhmah, Bina, Da'at, Chokhmah is father, Bina is mother, and Da'at is the child that is born from them both. So Bina is mother. We call it the higher mother. Malchut is directly coming from Bina. They both are feminine, and it's called the lower mother. Is that clear? Then there is another name, Matrunita. Anybody heard the name Matrunita? Matrunita is a queen. Malchut is called the queen because she delivers all that the king offers. So that's why she gives birth. The king provides, and the queen takes it, absorbs it, and develops it into a complete child. How is the prince or the princess being born? Through the queen. The queen is the one who is responsible for the life of the child, not the king, but the king has to provide his seed to the queen. So Malchut is also called Matrunita. Matrunita is Aramaic or Greek for a queen. And it appears in the Talmud about Matrunita that asked Rabbi Akiva, the queen of Rome, asked Rabbi Akiva, she would ask Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. They used to always engage with these women. By the way, there was a Roman matron or Matrunita that was a scholar. And she studied Jewish wisdom, and she was very intrigued, and she would ask Rabbi Akiva a lot of questions. She was so impressed with Rabbi Akiva that when her husband died, she converted and she married him. Anybody heard that? Rabbi Akiva was married to few women. That matron, that queen, he was married to her. She brought him an enormous amount of wealth, and in a short while she died, and he amassed a large sum of money, wealth, real estate, large wealth. He became extremely wealthy from that marriage. But the word matronita appears in Rabbi Meir dealt with matronita. There is always stories of matronita.
Why use that word? Just use regular Hebrew word. Why use that word?
That's the way they used to call them. B, like Aramaic. In Babylon, they describe it in Aramaic. But not only that, Rabbi Akiva lived in Israel. Rabbi Meir, the stories with the matrons, with the matronitas, are in Israel. The best way to explain it, if I speak in Hebrew to somebody and I tell them that the sheriff or the FBI discovered or researched or came or knocked on the door or was here, I don't call it by the Hebrew name. I call it by the name that they are called in their language, right?
Yeah.
So I don't say whatever police in Hebrew came. Even though I speak in Hebrew, I'd say the sheriff showed up. Or I would say, even if the president will come to visit us, I would say in Hebrew, even if I get interviewed in Israeli media, I would call him the president. Why? Because that's how he's called in his native language. So Matronita, this was not a simple person. It's not necessarily the queen, but she was a princess. She was a macher, an appointee as a macher, but also referred to as a queen. So we learned the lower mother, right? We learned Shechinah. Shechinah. By the way, Harry, what does Shechinah means? God,
Yeah,
divine presence, right? Do you know Shechinah is Aramaic?
No.
Shechinah is Aramaic.
Is that Hebrew?
No. It's Aramaic word. Shochen, from the word resting. God that rests upon us, but it's Aramaic, it's not Hebrew. There is no word in Hebrew in the Holy Tongue, Shechinah. But we call it Shechinah because it's from the Aramaic. That's the way they use. So we discovered Shechinah, feminine, in the word that's Malchut. We discovered the lower mother. We discover prince, or I'm sorry, not prince, a princess, a queen. And we also discovered, we're going to discover also the source of everybody, all children, later on. Therefore, says the Rebbe, and this is what the Rebbe is going to say, before God created the universes, there is God alone. Just like my soul do not belong to the body. It's impossible. It's too powerful. If that soul will enter my body, it will blow it up. It was too powerful. Only a ray, an extension of the soul comes in. So God removes himself, so to say, conceals himself, so that there should be an ability for a ray of light, a little bit of light to come down and create and give life to the universes. The soul would have its essence, the greatest power of the soul that belongs to the body, in the brains. Number two, in the brains, the power of the soul contains the energy and ability and talent for every part of the body. Number three, from the brains, it sends out to every part of the body. And number four, they report back to the brains. That's the communication. That's the idea we spoke about last week in the 5 powers of the soul. The first 2 have nothing to do with the body. They are encircling outside. We call them Chaya and Yechida. The other 3, Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Nefesh being the lowest, Nefesh is the physical body, gives life to that's the last one that leaves the body after the body is completely decayed. Ruach representing the emotional, the heart part of the body, and Neshama refers to the intellectual capacity of the body. So when a human being passes away, where do the soul leaves the body? From the brains, from the nostrils. Why? Because the neshama leaves first, and then the ruach follows, and the nefesh will come out last. In the way they enter, neshama, the brains, comes first, intellect. Ruach, the heart, the liver, the lungs, will come second, and the action, the rest of the body, will come last. So when the body is created, comes brains, heart representing it also, and external aspects of the body. When the human being lives, when the soul leaves the body, it goes in the reverse. The neshama goes out first, the ruach comes second, and the nefesh stays all the way till the body is completely decayed. That's why we want the body to be placed in the grave right away. For the ruach, emotional, also to leave the body, it would not refuses to leave because it's too attached to the body. As soon as the body is placed in the grave, the ruach would leave the body, and then the nefesh will only allow the body leave the body, is attached to the body so bitterly it will not leave the body until the body is decayed. Therefore, we want it to be decayed as quick as possible.
You said that the soul, the complete soul, cannot stay in the body because it would blow it up. It's just overwhelming.
So one part of the soul called Yechida, let me explain.
Piece of the soul is with us.
Yeah, that Yechida is bound with God.
So the rest
And if it would leave God and come here, it would blow up the body.
so part of
Ruach, Chaya, Yechida. Then Chaya, number 2, is all-encompassing, but it's outside the body.
so
The other 3 will enter from the brain into the rest of the
we
body.
never have the full soul in us,
No,
right? The other part is with God.
of course.
Okay, so then when we die, that little bit of soul that we did have, that leaves
Get
it.
out of here.
That part, the soul we had is 3 components. 1 will leave immediately. That's when the body stopped functioning. 2 will live later on when the body is put to rest underground. 3 will live when the body is completely decayed.
That's part of the soul.
And they're all parts of the soul,
I'm
yes.
saying, but that's the part of the soul that's with us. Not all,
All 3 of them are with us.
but the whole soul is not with us. We said we can't take the whole soul with us because it would blow up and it would be overwhelming. So only part of the soul is with
And
us.
only part of the soul came into the body, and that part of the soul leaves the body, correct, yes. There is another part of the soul, number 2, from the 5 going down, that is called Chaya, which is all around, and that leaves the body immediately when the body closes their eyes because they have no more purpose, no more mission. That part is called, in a Kabbalistic language, is called Keter, crown. A king is wearing a crown when he becomes a king, but the crown is not part of his body. However, that's what makes him a king. Without the crown, he's not a king. And in soul powers, we call it the willpower and pleasure. And I talked about it many times, that the willpower works synonymously at the same time with every part of the body, because it's outside the body. It being confined to one part of the body, like the brains or the heart, then we would operate mechanically and not the way that a human being is supposed to.
It's called matronita or matronit.
Matronita. M-A-T-R-O-N-I-T-A.
Matron comes from. Matron.
Matron is, but in the Aramaic, in Greek, it's our Greek word, is called the super ministry, ministers or whatever. I'm reading page, so this is what the rabbi is going to explain, how the God works in this universe, and the rabbi is going to, so to say, not confuse us, but overpower us with a lot of information about how the 10 attributes operate in each universe. The key is that Malchut, royalty, the last of the 10, is in charge of creating that universe and continuing creating another universe. So between a husband and wife, they got together and they bond the 10 attributes. The queen will be responsible to create a child, and that child is the next generation. He will bond again, and he will create another child. In other words, another universe, another universe, another universe. That's number 2. Number 3, I wanted to share with you a few other points, and that is, according to Kabbalah, and we're going to delve in it for a whole year on Monday evenings, beginning in October, the power of speech comes from the queen. That's why women have much more power of speech, much more articulated than men, because women, Bina, and Malchut is all about the feminine, And speech is expressing that which I feel or I think into somebody else. So actually speech, when I articulate myself, assuming I'm not dumb, and I speak thoughtfully, properly, it had to have gone through all the 10 attributes before it came out in speech. So I'm thinking about finding work, and I'm thinking about location, and how to apply for a job, and how to put my resume, and who to call. All that goes through not just the brains, but all the other, the emotional and the actual. And people who are very successful, all the do-it-yourself successful books, most of them speak about visualize the end results. Anybody heard about that? Visualize you got the job, visualize you're the manager, visualize you see the check and hold it. Why do they say visualize it? Kabbalah is speaking about that in a different direction, from a different point of view, but it's the same thing. You need to know that for something to be real, to be expressed through speech, it has to go through all the 10 attributes. And it has to go to the intellect, to the emotional aspects, and action, and then it will come out in speech. So if someone speaks about something and he never, about that involve action, never done that, we say to him, you don't know what you're talking. And he himself is not sure if it's going to happen. Only if all of his facets, all his faculties are involved with the project, then when he actually speaks about it, he speaks of experience, he knows it firsthand, I'm sure that he knows what he's talking about, he sounded like he knows what he's talking about. In other words, you have to walk the walk, not just do the talking. Page 807. In the present chapter, the Alter Rebbe goes on to further explain how the analogy of godliness and its place in the world relates to the analogy in which the individual's vitality and in its undiffused state resides in the brain. Remember, we spoke about it starts from the brain, and from the brain it goes out. Says the Rebbe, chapter 52, and just as in the human soul, the principal manifestation of the undiffused vitality is in the brain, while all the organs receive merely a light and potency which radiates to them from the source of the manifestation of the said vitality in the brains, just like the human being, God will create in this universe the brain, and that brain will house all of the light, not the essence, the light, but from the brain it will be spread out to every part of the universe, creating different humans, different aspects, different bodies. So indeed, figuratively speaking, is the essential manifestation of the general stream of vitality animating the worlds and the creatures therein, clothed in and contained in his blessed will, wisdom and understanding and knowledge, which are called the intelligence. The same thing, the energy in general starts in the intellectual part of that universe. The Sfirot of Keter, will, Chokhmah, Bina, and Dat, intellect, as they exist above, are collectively called intelligence. Within them is enclosed the stream of undiffused vitality, which is the first revelation of the Ein Sof in the worlds. I hope you understand what I'm saying, because I just explained. Ali, do you follow? You're trying to. And this will, the power of will, which is Keter, I think I told you, Chokhmah, Bina, and Dat, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, are clothed in the Torah and its mitzvot. Now the rabbis will reveal and will delve into it at great length. You know where the essence of the universe exists? It exists in the Torah. So you have the world of Atzilut, emanation.
I found this on the web for Wolf and Ward do it at Great Lakes, where the...
You have the world of Atzilut, emanation, where it all starts and it all in general. But then you have it creates the world of Bria with 10 attributes. The first three are called intelligence. Chochmah bin Adat. They are the one that house the energy in general that will later be spread out, creating all the other 7 attributes. Says the Rebbe, this is what the Torah is about. So there is a Torah. The Torah is God's wisdom and God's knowledge. And the Torah is the source of all energy in the world of Bria. Later we'll discover the Torah is the source of all energy in Yetzirah. The Torah is the source of energy in Asiyah. And more particularly, the Rabbi is going to say that the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, are Bria. The Mishnah, the Talmud is in Bria because it's intellect. The Mishnah is action. It's all about emotions, is Yetzirah. And the 5 books of Moses are in this world, Asiyah. We'll see how it works. But the Torah is the one that houses all the general undefined energy that will send out energy to create and control every part of that universe. This is their abode, for Torah law and the mitzvot are themselves the will of God, desiring as he does that the law in a particular case should be specifically one way and not the other, and that a particular mitzvah be performed in a certain manner and not otherwise. Understanding the laws and knowing the reasons for the mitzvot, this belongs to the divine level of Chochmah and Bina. Thus, within Torah and the mitzvot is enclosed in the intelligence of above, and in it is to be found the undiffused stream of vitality that descends into the worlds. Says the Rebbe. Now the Rebbe is going to go in a lot deeper, but the Rebbe is going to go into a very technical discussion. I need you to understand. Ali, I need you to be clear about that. If you're not clear, I want to make sure that you understand. Each universe, there are 4 universes. The first one is called emanation. That's the first light of God. God concealed himself to send out a ray of light. That light is undiffused, nothing. It's powerful light. Nothing can be created there. But there is already 10 attributes. From the lowest level of Atzilut, Malchut, royalty, they created the world of Bria. Bria is the first one that's a little removed. Now you have 10 attributes. The first 3 are intelligence, right? From the 10. And there is the power of the willpower, Keter, number 4, right? So we're going to take those 2. We call it in general intelligence. That is what Torah is about. And God created the universe based on Torah. So if I look in the Torah, I know how the universe operates. If I look in the Torah, I can connect to the universe and control the universe. Do you understand that? Okay, very good. Is it hard to understand? No. So now I'm going to show you a story. The Ragachover, famous Rabbi Yosef Ruzin, he lived at the time of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, very bright human being, unusual. One day he got 2 bills in the mail. One is from the government and one is from the city for taxes. He read the first bill and he says, well, this bill I have to pay. Let's take care of it, buy a stamp and pay it. He opens up the envelope of the second one and he looks at it and says, no, it's false, I don't need to pay it. And he trash it. People told him, hey, you don't pay taxes, you go to jail and you get lashes. It's not like in the great country of the United States. Over there, but he was adamant. He says, no, according to Torah, there is no place for that bill, and therefore I don't pay. Guess what? A week later, a note came that the taxes from that second tax was a mistake, and they can ignore it. Now, people who were watching it saw how the Torah controls the universe, because he knew nothing about government. He didn't even know what to do with money. He never went, he didn't go shopping. He wasn't looking for quality, quantity, get good deals. He was studying Torah like beyond. All he needed to do is look in the Torah. He studied the Torah. He was able to see in a very bright way, clear way, that this bill does not belong in the universe. And that's it. That was gone for him. And there are many other aspects, many other stories that are related to this topic. Perhaps I'll share soon, but this is the way the Rebbe always would say, and the Rebbe ingrained it in the Hasidim more than anybody else, that everything is written in the Torah. And if you want to know how the universe operates, look in the Torah. Why? Because that's the root, that's the source, that's the DNA. So if you understand the DNA, you know how it will operate. You know the seasons, you know the rain, you know the sun. Here's another story. The Gemara says that Rabbi Meir doresh b'shma. He used to pay attention to the name of a person. A name of a person, that's not the time to talk about, is a small prophecy that's given to the parents by this when deciding the name. And therefore, no one should interfere. No one should tell them how to name. And the way God wants it, that's how they name the child. That's why the Hebrew name is the only one to be inscribed on the headstone, because it connects to the soul. And that's why in the Mishaber, someone is not well, we pray. If you don't use the Hebrew name, you did not connect to that person. There is no blessing to that person. It's like the wrong address. Rabbi Meir used to pay attention to names, and based on that, he would know the nature of a person. He and two other rabbis, I believe they were Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi. They traveled and they came into an inn, to a hotel to spend for Shabbos. Rabbi Meir would not negotiate and connect with anybody before he speaks to ask him for his name. He asked the innkeeper, "What's your name?" And the innkeeper says, "My name is Karti." Karti. Rabbi Meir didn't like that. So came on Friday afternoon, as was the custom, the innkeeper would have a safe. That's where you keep, because people can break in, especially to a hotel. They knew businessmen are traveling with lots of cash. There was no Diners Club, there was no American Express then. So they carry with them gold and valuables. So the other two rabbis put the wallets with the money with the innkeeper at the safe. Rabbi Meir didn't trust him. And after Shabbat, they came and they said, "Where is our wallet?" He said to them, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And they did not have a camera, security camera like today. And he totally ignores them. And they had no ID, and they had no cash anymore. Rabbi Meir, on the other hand, had all his money. The Gemara says he turned to them and he says, "Didn't I tell you to be careful with people based on their names?" So they asked him, "Why did you deduce that Karti is a bad name?" He said to him that Karti is in the curse of, I believe, Moshe. Before he dies, he rebukes the Jewish people. And he's talking about the future, that people will disobey God and will not follow leaders. And it says, Ki dor ta'apuchot ema. Because Ki dor, a generation of flipping they are, meaning they'll flip around. They vote for a rabbi. Once they chose the rabbi, 2 years later, he's not a good rabbi, let's look for another one. And then they bring another rabbi, and he's not good. They're going to tell the rabbi what to talk about and what to do and what not to do. That's called dor ta'apuchot. A fachfach, meaning someone who's wishy-washy. Dor ta'apuchot is in the Torah. It says Karti is an acronym, Ki dor as a resh at the end. Ta'apuchot, hema, yud and hey sometimes can be changed. It's the same sound. It says in the Torah, a man who bears the acronym for that verse is a very wishy-washy person. You cannot trust the guy. So we see from here that he was able to look in the Torah and compare the Torah to his name. And looking at the Torah, I told them, this guy is a cheat. He's going to lie. He's going to steal, as actually what happens. In other words, if you want to read, and I wish I can live through by it all day, but I try, I really put efforts, is to ask yourself, what does the Torah want? What do the Torah say? The Rebbe countless times said, if you follow the Torah, there is no chance in the world that you're going to get hurt. There is no chance in the world that you're going to be damaged. God will always secure care, protects, and take care of people who are really there to follow the Torah, because the universe operates by that machine, by that, so to say, book of instructions. So if I follow the instructions, the outcome must be the right outcome. Is that clear? Let's continue. Page 808. The manifestation of this general flow of life, which is similar to the undefined stream of vitality found in the brain, takes place, as the Alter Rebbe will soon say, when the flow from intelligence descends into the sphere of Malchut. This manifestation, says the Rebbe, is the source of the vitality which the worlds receive, each one in particular receiving but a diffuse glow that shines forth from this essence, from this source. So you have the intelligence, it's like the brain of a human, and it will share and send out energy, each according to the need and particular body parts. In other words, the universe according to their needs. This refers not to the general stream of vitality found in intelligence, but to its revelation. This revelation is the source of the vitality received by all worlds and the creatures, each according to its particular level. The diffuse glow that shines forth is, in a similar manner to the light that radiates from the sun, by way of example, where the rays are but diffuse glimmer of the sun's essence, or as the faculties of the organs of the body derived from the brain, as discussed above in the previous chapter. So just like the body parts get from the brain, or the light of the sun's ray, that in the sun itself, it's totally gone, it's not there. Only when it's removed, because it's a glimmer, it's very little of that energy. It is this source that is called, which is called in the Kabbalah the world of manifestation, because, as the Alter Rebbe will soon say, it is here that godliness first becomes manifest in the world, and it is also called Matrunita, Aramaic for queen, for the queen receives her vitality from Kudsha Brichu, Aramaic for the Holy One, blessed is he, the king. So Kudsha Brichu, you heard, right? How do you say Kudsha Brichu in Hebrew? Akadosh Baruch Hu. But in the Talmud, we don't say Akadosh Baruch Hu, we say Kudsha Brichu. Kudsha Brichu is the same words in Aramaic. Kudsha Brichu is the king. He provides to the queen. Who is the queen? Malchut. The queen is Malchut is queen. And she's the one who is responsible to create a child, the next generation, and give it life and make sure it comes into existence. And it is also known as the nether mother. The low level of mother for Bina too is known as mother, as the verse says, allude to a Bina as mother. Bina, however, is the higher level of mother, while Malchut is the nether mother. So the nether mother is Malchut, the higher mother, the higher mother, the elevated mother is Bina. And is called also the Shechinah from the scriptural phrase, and I will dwell among them, v'shachanti betocham, and I'll rest among them, I'll dwell among them. For its Hebrew root means to dwell and be revealed. Shechinah is to dwell and reveal. As the Rebbe explains, the Alter Rebbe now goes on to explain the meaning and character of each of the above listed names, as well as the particular effect. So in many ways, Malchut is called queen, it's called Shechinah, it's called mother, lower mother. All of them, each one of those names mentioned in the Talmud, in the Torah, and Kabbalah is for a reason, because Malchut, because royalty will do or achieve or create different facets of the universes. The above mentioned, page 810, the above mentioned source is called the world of manifestation, or this source is the beginning of the revelation of the light of Ein Sof. And since the source itself constitutes a revelation, It is itself known as the world of manifestation because of its own nature and not because of its it vitalized and revealed the worlds.
Why do we keep reading worlds instead of world?
Because there are 4 universes, as we'll talk in a moment. It is called Queen because it is this level which extends to and illumines the worlds in a revealed manner, similar to a queen, for through her the wishes of the king are revealed. Thus, the source of life, that is, the first revelation of the light of Ein Sof, is first manifest in the queen, and from from this source, there extends to each individual thing, world, or creature the particular light and vitality suitable for it, for which reason it is called the nether mother, for it is the mother and source of the particular form of vitality of each and every creature. And it, the light, dwells and is clothing them in the worlds and their respective creatures, thereby animating their, and that's why I hope you understand and follows. Are you, Harry, you follow?
Not sure.
Okay, let's continue reading and I'll summarize it. What the rabbi wants to say is in Kabbalah and in the Talmud, Malchut is the first revelation of universes. So in the world of Atzilut, which one created the world of Bria? The one below it? Malchut. Up to Malchut, it's all concealed with God. It's so powerful that it's not within universes. Actual universe starts from Malchut royalty of Atzilut. It will create another universe. It's called also the nether mother because it's responsible for the next universe. It's also called the queen because the queen fulfills the wish of the king by creating a new child. It's also called Shechinah because it dwells among the next universe. The other attributes, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod Yesod, they are in Atzilut, but they have nothing to do with the next universe. Only Malchut will have to do with it. The same will happen in the next universe and the next universe. Ali, do you follow? Okay. Harry, do you understand now? I hope everybody can follow now. Page 811. Therefore, it is figuratively called mother of the children, that is, of Jewish souls, and also is called community of Israel. Shechinah is the source of all souls from all the other 3 worlds, including the 4th world, Atzilut. So it's called Knesset Israel. What's the word Knesset means? Collectively connected. Beit Knesset. What is Beit Knesset? A house for gathering, all-inclusive. Lichnos, kinus is a rally, right? Beit Knesset is a place where everybody enters, everybody collected. Knesset Israel, have you heard of Knesset Israel? What does Knesset Israel refer to? God, who is the source of all the souls. From Atzilut, like Moshe's soul, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, all of them are emanated from that Malchut, from that Knesset Israel. Therefore, I am starting page 811 at top. Therefore, it is figuratively called mother of all the children, that is, of Jewish souls, and is also called community of Israel. For from this source, the souls of Atzilut have emanated, this being emanation and not creations, and the souls of Bria have been created, and so forth. So in Atzilut is not a creation, but emanation, an extension of God. Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, the lower 3 worlds, are actual creation. I hope you are able to follow. All of them, all the worlds, creatures, and souls, being derived only from the extension of the vitality and light, which extends and streams forth from this source, which is called Shechinah, in a manner resembling the radiance of the light from the sun, this radiance being but a ray from its source. Did I go too far? Harry? So let's do one more. But as for the Shechinah itself, namely the origin and core of the manifestation, whereby the blessed Ein Sof illumines the worlds in a revealed form, and which is the source of all streams and vitality in the worlds, their entire vitality being no more than the light which is diffused from it, like the light radiates from the sun. Concerning the Shechinah itself, the source of all vitality for the worlds cannot endure or receive the light of the Shechinah, that it might actually dwell and enclose itself in them without that garment to screen and conceal the light from them, so that they may not become entirely nullified and lose their identity within their source. Just as the light of the sun is nullified in its source, namely in the sun itself, where this light cannot be seen, but only the integral mass of the sun itself.
What God mentioned emotion, and you can't see.
Right, exactly. So Shechinah itself is too powerful. And therefore, the only way for Shechinah to be extended and to create and to control is when it goes through many veils. Just like the power of the soul. Diffused, exactly. Oh, Harry's getting it. Ali, how about you? And I'm going to read page 813. But what is the garment which is able to conceal and clothe it, the Shechinah, yet will not itself be completely nullified within its light? This is his blessed will and wisdom, and so forth, referring to the levels of Bina and Dat, which are part of intelligence above, as mentioned earlier, which are clothed in the Torah and its mitzvot that are revealed to us and our children. God gave us the mitzvot, you know why? That's the extension of Shechinah. God gave us the study of Torah. Use your brains. Mitzvot is action and emotions. You know why? That's how you connect to Shechinah. Shechinah is coming through and diffused in channels. And those channels are the Torah and mitzvot. What happens when I study Torah? I connect to Shechinah. What happens when I perform a mitzvah? I connect to the Shechinah, to godly, the Malchut of Atzilut, the highest level of godliness that cannot enter the universe and cannot be manifested into the universe unless it's been diffused. The diffusion is done through the 10 attributes, and for us as human beings, that's the Torah and mitzvot. And as here it is, why are God's will and wisdom and so forth able to act as concealment and concealing garment for the light of Shechinah without themselves being nullified by it? For the Torah issues form wisdom, namely Chokhmah Ilah, supernal wisdom, which are the level of Chokhmah, is the level of Chokhmah of Atzilut, that is immeasurably higher than the world of manifestation, which is the Shechinah. For he is wise with the wisdom of Chokhmah of Atzilus, but not with knowable wisdom and so forth. And as previously been explained, the infinite light of the blessed Ein Sof is glowing therein and united with the supernal wisdom, and he and his wisdom are one. The Rabbi is talking about so many things, but there is one point that I cannot escape. We are unable to escape. And that is, how come Shechinah will be allowed for express itself to us through mitzvot and Torah? You know why? Because it comes from the attributes that are above Malchut. They come from intellect or emotions of Atzilut. Chokhmah, Bina, Da'at, Chesed, Gvura, Tiveret, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. It came through it, and that able to house, to diffuse the energy of Shechinah, which is Malchut, and allow us to tap into it, to connect to it. So if I want to be blessed, I study Torah. When I give mitzvot, I'm connecting to the Shechinah that comes through the channel of the attributes of Atzilut. Is it technical? Yes. But I hope I made myself as clear as possible about this. So that's why God has done so much kindness to us by enabling us to perform mitzvot in so many ways. That's why God gave us such a vast Torah. In other words, no matter where I find myself and what is the field of my interest or hobby, I can study Torah and connect to the Shechinah, connect to godliness, and the highest level a human can reach. And that's even higher than the angels. As we'll discover, the angels reach, some of them Yetzirah, the emotional angels, the intellectual angels to Bria, No angel reach Atzilus. When I study Torah, you mortal human being, I connect to Shechinah, which is Malchut of Atzilut, and the reason I am able to get that energy is because I connect to the wisdom of God, which is Atzilus. I connect to God's will. I fulfill God's will, which is the emotional aspect of Atzilus, and therefore I'm able to get energy from Shechinah. I made myself, what?
Many times we are doing this without knowing that we're doing this.
It's nothing to do with knowing, as long as we do.
No, right, I'm saying somebody doing something.
That's the difference between Torah. By Torah, if you don't understand what you're saying, many parts of Torah, you did not fulfill the mitzvah of studying. But in the mitzvot, if you didn't know what you're doing, or you didn't even know you're doing it, but you did, you helped somebody, not because God said, because the guy wouldn't leave you alone. He was a salesman. He gets on the phone and he wouldn't let you go. And you finally gave him your credit card, you have performed a big mitzvah. In fact, the Gemara says if someone walked through the street and he lost a coin, and a poor man found it and saved his life with it, he bought himself food to satiate himself. The loser, the owner of the coin, has fulfilled a mitzvah of tzedakah, unbeknown to him, and as soon as he found out, he regrets it, he's looking for it. There's nothing to do, the action was performed. That shows how kind and great God is, that he gave us the ability to connect to him, and it is even superior to the connection that the angels reach in their connection to God. And that's why the Mishnah tells us 1 hour in this universe is of study of Torah or mitzvot is greater than all of the world to come. Anybody heard that? It's in Ethics of our Father. Because over there they can reach only Yetzirah or Boriah, depending on their level of connection. But in this universe you reach Atzilut. When I study Torah, perform mitzvah, I connect to Atzilut. I hope I made myself clear. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi.